So talk a little bit about your experience with working and showing with not-for-profit spaces.
Uh, I think they're amazing spaces in the sense that, hopefully they've given you complete creative license, because you don't have the pressures of, or the economy of a sale. So I think nonprofit spaces are incredible for seeing really exciting, challenging work that, you know, is heavy on the poetry and light on the market. And I think that's what's great. And I think some artists just work exists in that realm, and so I'm really appreciative that there are nonprofit spaces, and in the ideal world, museums. But I think museums are a really, really difficult model. Like I think they are very challenging in how they exist, like how they present themselves to the public, and then how they actually function and exist. There are
Talk a little bit more about that.
I just think as a young, someone going to museums as a kid, you see this work and it's this fantastical stuff, and then as you kind of dedicate your life to kind of being an artist, and at each level, it's like you feel like you're kind of pulling the curtain back, and seeing how it works. And as you go up, you think of the gallery as the gallery as the place of the market, and then you think of the museum as this Puritan, this pure, non-market based exhibition space of kind of wonder. I don't know. It's like this convoluted idea. Right. But then as you spend more time in the art world and as a maker and as a gallery, you start to realize that a lot of the work, there's a board, and this board of directors are art collectors themselves, and they have preferences and aesthetics, and they're gonna put that out there. They're in a privileged position to get on the board, and then they're gonna put forth their opinion, and then you find that their opinion starts to shape the curation of the space, and then it's off and running. It's something. And there is no utopian kind of perfect museum in any way, but you realize, you're like, wow, these people that are, on the board and the movers and shakers of the museum are really defining its collection. When something comes up and we need to acquire new work, what is it? What gets collected is very much, their aesthetic, and are they very wealthy? Are they very well educated in art? It depends on who they are, but and then and then what galleries are defining their tastes, and how are their tastes being defined, and then if you start following those links, then you see that everyone's in bed with everyone, and it gets really small really fast, and then you think like, God, how do you break into that inner circle? And so it's not unbreakable, it's not unapproachable, it's not right, it's not wrong. It's just like, whoa, okay, this is the system with which, how this all works is small.
Yeah, it's small, and sometimes the revelation itself could be painful to have gotten, in the sense that, learning this itself, it's enlightening, but the ramification of learning about how this actually operates could be troublesome in some senses. For example, we mentioned the function of the board of directors of museums, and so it suggested to me at least the role of money and the role of politics that played in the operation of the art world. Sounds like you've been kind of privy to a lot of these things, and given that knowledge, do you think that has changed how you look at the art world and your own art practice?
It probably should, because once you see this, then you ask yourself the question of how does your practice, what part of your life does your practice take, right? Because if you know this, then you should be, and you want to be, you know, you just want to be the best artist you can. What is the best artist? You know, be in museums, like be the richest artist. I don't even know. How would you? There's a strategy, like a clear strategy. Like you should really be doing your due diligence. Who are the board members? Where do they collect from? You know, who are, you know, what galleries? Okay, now those would be the galleries that you would strategically try to align yourself with. You know, anytime, you know, and you just be doing all of this research on how to strategize, because it just, that's good, that's savvy business. But then there's that disconnect with, like, where the hell did my practice go?
Exactly.
Where did the art go?
Yeah.
In that kind of strategic alignment. And so, yeah, I think from a gallery standpoint, I think that's what galleries are for. You know, when I'm wearing kind of a gallery hat, I'm very much thinking about that, because I want the artists that we represent to be seen by these people, to be in these institutions, because I think they're really fantastic, and I think that they deserve an opportunity to be seen by these decision makers, if you will.
Right.
You know, but then when I'm wearing my artist hat, it's like, yeah, I think about that, but there's kind of like, I feel like when you're making art, there's two modes. There's the making of art, where you kind of just lock yourself in your studio and you're just making, and then you kind of come up for air and you're like, all right, I've got this body of work. And then there's the marketing of the work, you know, the hustle of the work, getting it out, getting a show, getting, you know, if you're working with a gallery, getting them be like, all right, this is it. Let's get a show on the calendar. And so I think there's always two facets as a maker, where I'm really just thinking about the work, doing research, making the work. And then the second one is when that's kind of done, it's like, all right, this work needs to get out there and have that life.